You want a clicker?
Yeah, that would be great. That way you don't have to sit back here.
Oh, well, I'll probably will anyway, just so I can monitor it.
Okay. Michelle, where have we met?
I work for the Lewiston School District and I work with
Yeah.
Lucia.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Community social worker.
Yes.
Oh, excellent. So you probably have some of our interns as social work professor.
Yes, yes. We have two actually.
Yeah.
My name's Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Robin. Good to meet you. Stephanie?
Stephanie.
Sorry, what?
I'm nervous too.
I just get water because there's spilled water out in the parking lot,
Oh, no.
which isn't a big deal, it's just water.
Well, speaking of, there is some water here for our presenters and any participants who might need some, but you're welcome to help yourself. All right, welcome everybody to our coalition meeting. If you're joining us online, a few of you. We have our in-person speakers. I'll be sharing their PowerPoint screen here, but let's see, one wanted the actual fancy introduction and one was fine with themselves. So we'll let you introduce yourselves then, if you would like to go that way, and then we'll get started here.
Which, just curious, there's two cameras.
Yeah,
Which
you
one?
are facing the correct way. They
Okay.
can see you, yep. If you want, here, I can just put this up here for now, for a minute. There you go. Hi, Todd.
Hello, guys.
Good to see you, Todd.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Lachelle Rosenbaum. I'm a social work professor at Lewis Clark State College, but also a Union Gospel Mission board member, and I've served the board, I think, for about six years. And so I'm really excited to be here and to share about our plans for the community and the valley, but also what program we do. And this is Jeremy Stevens, and I'll let him introduce himself, but really delighted that he is our director for the Lewis Clark Valley shelter that is coming. Jeremy.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. Yeah, I almost said good morning. Good morning. But hi to everybody online, and we just want to say thank you for inviting us into the space to talk about Union Gospel Mission and what's coming to the Valley. As Michelle said, I'm the director of LC, and the big building down on Snake River Avenue that's being built is our 96-bed facility. And my wife and I originally grew up in the LC Valley and moved away in 2013 and ended up in Coeur d'Alene. And work-wise, I was still with UPS at the time and working in with the church, local church. And then my wife became an addictions counselor with Union Gospel Mission. And that was kind of our entry into this ministry, and fell in love with it. And after several years, my wife stepped away. And when we heard about the opportunity that was happening within Lewiston with the mission being built, we raised our hands and said, hey, that's a place we know really well, and we love this ministry, and we would love to go back for that. And so I came on with Union Gospel Mission in Spokane in 2022 and helped run a women's shelter up there, and before moving back in 2024. So 2 years in the shelters up there, and then a year helping oversee this build, which is so close to being done. So you'll get to hear a little bit about that tonight too. So, yeah, thanks for having us. Is there anything that you need to go through?
We will do that after you are finished.
Okay.
Make sure this is all good to go.
Great. Just curious, what is you've had presentations before. I have a live audience, and I have, is this a good location?
That's fine, as long as you face this way, they can see your face
Okay.
potentially, and
Yeah.
hear you better.
Okay. And if anybody has anything online, please don't interrupt and let me know, I'm not speaking to you. So, well, our mission, why we exist, Union Gospel Mission, is to partner with the Inland Northwest to reach the poor with the love and power of the gospel so they may become God-dependent, contributing members of society. We have been operating for over 70 years. In fact, next year marks our 75th anniversary as a ministry to the poor. We're very excited not only to open a shelter, but to get to celebrate 75 years of helping those that are in poverty or impoverished areas. From the very beginning, our founder, Albert Aaron, had said that our aim is not free meals, but free persons, not free beds, but free beings. And so what initially started in downtown Spokane was about 5 businessmen. It was in the 1950s, so 1951, they started to see a lot of men come back from the war, a lot of PTSD, a lot of alcoholism, divorce, and men that were living in ways that they shouldn't. 5 businessmen. Now, the effects of homelessness affect a community, very, very widespread. And so these businessmen got together and said, we have to do something about this. We want to help. And if you're familiar with downtown Spokane, right across from the Spokane Activity Center, the big convention center, there's a Chili's. And that Chili's originally was UGM. And so what started as essentially a sleep shelter, we fed people and helped people stay overnight, turned into what we have now is programs, an 18 to 24-month program in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, and much more than just a sleep shelter. And so we continue to be with Albert Aaron in this, that we want more. We want more than to just help you by feeding you and sheltering you and having somewhere that's safe to live. We want more. We have several terms that we, as part of our philosophy. And so as somebody comes to us for services, what we are looking for first is to make sure they are safe. And so safety is our #1 priority for our residents that are coming into our facilities. And so we are a clean and sober environment. So what is that? We are considered a high barrier shelter. And so there's really, really easy way to look at that is no barrier, which means complete access, no hindrances. Low barrier, which there are several hindrances, or high barrier, which is we require something of you in order for you to receive services. And so that is that clean and sober environment, which means we require for somebody to come into our facility a clean urinary analysis and a clean breathalyzer. Now, that is to keep a clean and sober environment. And so what we do really well, and you'll continue to see this, is recovery. And so again, not just a sleep shelter somewhere where somebody can come and lay their head, but we want more. And so we're going to provide a pathway out of whatever environment they were in. So in that safety, we want to provide a shower, clean bed, 3 meals. And then unfortunately in Idaho, law doesn't allow us to have a medical clinic in-house. We're not considered a hospital. And so we have to, and I would say it's a privilege. We get to rely on other sources. So Chaz Medical Clinic, Snake River Community Clinic, we are partnered with them to provide mobile clinics. Some will come on house, and then we'll also provide van and transportation to those areas in town. Along with the shower, as somebody comes in, this is unique to shelters, in that we have something called a hot box room. And that hot box room is kept at 150 degrees, 24/7. And so when somebody comes in, we take all their belongings, we separate all of their perishables out, and we place their items in this hot box for about 12 hours. That's to kill any critters that may come into our facilities. And I hope you do get to tour our facility, you'll see that it is very clean. And we want to do that not only for us as work environment, but also for our residents to help that safe and clean and sober environment. It's really important for us to maintain that environment for them and with them. One of the things that is unique with that high barrier status as well is that we require all of our residents at least a 2-hour chore. Sometimes I like to say chore or life skill. I'm gonna guess, I would wager that you cook, you do house cleaning and laundry. That is all something that is required of us in our shelter. And so all of the residents that come in also maintain the shelter with us. And so they help out in community living. Everything is free of charge for them while they're with us in the shelter. The 3 meals a day, all case management, all counseling services, transportation, it's all free of charge. And whenever I refer to the free of charge, it's really important for us to tell you that we are not government funded. So this is not taxpayer money. This is coming from privately funded individuals, families, businesses, grants, and foundations. And so part of that is to help maintain our high barrier status. And then the other fact is we're the Union Gospel Mission. And so we are a faith-based mission. And so that is a part of who we are. Our DNA is to bring Jesus Christ into this situation, to preach the good news, and to help somebody in a spiritual manner receive services. And so part of that pieces into how we see a person. That is an integrated being. So physical needs. We want to meet their mental and emotional needs, living in community, and then also their spiritual needs by providing access to chapel, to Bible studies, to counseling services, and so forth. The next piece of philosophy that we want to maintain and really encourage is a plan. And so as somebody enters into our facility, the first several days, we want to make sure that they are stabilizing. Oftentimes, they may come in with a clean urinary mouse, but they could only be within hours of being clean. And so we want to make sure that they can get some rest, get some food in their belly, and that they are not asked 1,000 questions right away. So our case management process waits several days, and then we will sit down with them. And one of our first questions is a very broad, general, tell me your story. What's going on? And then we'll get into more of how did you end up in UGM? And of course, those big other questions. So if I was evicted, if I just came out of jail, if I just came into the area, those offer other questions that we're going to ask. Some of the important questions that we also ask is about an ID and whether or not they feel safe within our environment. So key thing, birth certificate, ID, address, all those things that we get to provide and help with right away, because having those items is going to help with the rest of their process while they're with us. And so job training, that is part of their chore, but it also goes a step higher. So those that are looking for jobs, we want to put in positions within our shelter that have a supervisor role and that can actually go on resumes that we can help get them a job by references and so on and so forth. So someone that we can identify that is looking especially culinary, we can put in our kitchen, food handler's card, they work closely with a chef and volunteers, and that we can actually get back into whatever job environment that they're looking for. Another really cool partnership that we formed is with Happy Day. Happy Day does a great job with those that are coming out of legal obligations, felonies, and they hire those people into their environments, which is something really encouraging for us. Long-term recovery, as we identify some of those root issues of why someone got affected, why they lost their job, why they're still in their addiction, we want to identify those things. And yes, we want to get you a job, we want to get you housing, we want to keep you employed, we want to keep you in a house. And so oftentimes what happens with homelessness, domestic violence, that we identify addiction as present. And so in our plan, we partner with our shelters that are in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. We have 2 women recovery shelters, one in Coeur d'Alene and Spokane, and then we have a men's recovery. This is our 18 to 24 month program. This is where more of the biblical studies and guidance in individual and group therapy happen. Now, if you think about 18 to 24 months, that's a long time. That's a really long time. When we consider the process of somebody getting to the situation they're in, it's an even longer time. So when we're talking about addiction, yes, 30, 60, 90-day programs, they can work, and some of them do. Oftentimes what we see is that is a pattern, though. Those 30, 60, 90 days, it happens over and over and over again. And so we want to take them for almost 2 years to help them and give them tools in their recovery process. Now, the tool we use in this is called the Genesis process, which was created by Michael Dye. This is a process that is a relapse prevention tool. And what we are doing in this process is identifying those root issues, what we call false beliefs. Oftentimes we operate out of false beliefs, especially with this population when we're working through shame and self-identity of who we are, how others see us. We want to address those things. So our self-worth and our internal dialogue, those are the types of things that often hinder us from moving forward. And so that's part of our process. And then specifically with addiction, drug and substance abuse, is we are identifying those things that help a person by identifying triggers or key things within their life that bring them down that road to relapse. And so what we use is called the FASTER scale. And so one of the first steps is forgetting priorities. And so when we can identify that, starting by behaviors, we can start to identify we're on a road to relapse. The next one would be anxiety. So when I'm starting to really have internal emotions that are happening, these are all tools that we want to help somebody have within their belt and prevent that relapse from happening. And the other thing that I would like to say about the Genesis process is that it helps identify what we call a double binds. Also, think of damned if I do, damned if I don't. And oftentimes we find ourselves in a hard place, and we make those wrong decisions. And what we want to do is give a tool to somebody to say, let's identify all the outcomes. Critical thinking, right? And so we get to them to this place of saying, these are possible outcomes of this decision or this decision. And it's really helpful for somebody in recovery to have these tools so that they can maintain their sobriety. And there's a lot of other things. It's about a 9-month program within that. And then coupled on to that is in our last phases of phase 4 and phase 5 would be entering back into the job realm, society. It's entering into our aftercare program, which I'll speak on. But before I do, I wanted to give Lachelle a chance to talk about the Genesis process. She's very familiar with it. And so, Lachelle, would you mind talking a little bit about your experience with Genesis?
Yeah. So one of the things that we talk about in social work is that all behavior is adaptive coping. Sometimes that's like positive adaptive, right? Like we have a good mechanism when things are hard. Sometimes it's maladaptive, and then sometimes it can be addiction, and it's taking our life down a really addictive and destructive path. And so I had the opportunity with 4 other ladies in the community, kind of in preparation for maybe being able to facilitate the Genesis process. And so although none of us had substance use or alcohol addiction, all behavior is adaptive. And so what I noticed is in going through the FASTER scale, we spend a whole week on each of the acronyms, so FASTER. And some of that false belief systems that we have is like, for me, one of them is I had a situation going on, and I'm like, I'm not mad. I don't have anger about that, right? Because as a woman, sometimes it's not socially acceptable to show anger or get mad at something. But going through the FASTER scale and identifying what are some of those things that allow me to go from positive adaptive coping, things that are healthy in my life, to maybe self-sacrificing when I don't mean to self-sacrifice and it's not in my own best interest. Because again, cultural wanting to be, you know, a good person. And so I found myself after having gone through the faster scale, and we had spent like 6 or 7 weeks, and it was almost like, all right, I don't know if I'm ever going to use this. And then a situation comes up, and I started to feel feelings of anger and frustration. And for the first time, instead of using some false dialogue in my own brain, I was able to actually experience the emotion and then make a decision about what I wanted to do. And instead of just allowing the situation to drag me into what it normally would have done, I was able to check myself in that process and get back where I was in control, right? We talk about internal family systems theory, like having self in control instead of our automatic responses. And so even in real time, it's been so helpful for myself to go through that process. And so I see, and I'm excited for, because not everybody that's going to come through the doors is going to have a substance or alcohol abuse problem, but we all have maladaptive coping, you know? And so I'm excited for the opportunity of not only the people who are going to be serving in the roles as individuals walking through people in their recovery, because we have to do it ourselves too. And then to have people walk in freedom and not have to be chained to the adaptive coping that has just worked because of family history or society impressions or our false belief systems. And so it really takes things down at that root level. And it does use a little bit of internal family. It doesn't call it internal family systems, but it definitely utilizes some of that heart therapy to help us really get to the core of things. So I was delighted to go through it, and I think it's going to be. I'm excited for our community to be able to go through that.
Yeah, I would say that this process is part of our trauma-informed care of understanding that, to what Michelle just said, we all have coping behavior. Some of them are destructive and some of them can be positive, and helping identify that. So we actually encourage a lot of our staff, whether they're in a counseling role or not, to go through our Genesis process and to become certified. So, and a lot of the work that you do in the process is geared towards yourself, not coaching somebody else. So it's something that we as a ministry have really valued and continue to. The next step after a plan and really working through the Genesis process is time and community. And this has been something that we have identified, I would say, over especially the last decade. We had really put a lot of stock into our program, but then the aftercare side of things has really developed in, I would say, the last 5 years, where we started not only identifying how hard it was to get a house coming out of a shelter program and being able to save some money, but also just the tools needed to maintain that. And so we offer on our sites aftercare housing. So a resident will graduate or commence from our program and move into apartments or some community living spaces, and they're offered that for 3 years. We do collect a certain percentage of their income to help with that, but then that also gives them opportunity not only to build their finances for a down payment or first and last month's rent, what have you, but in a way, the bird is out of the nest, but they're still in the tree. And so all of our aftercare housing is on within a block of our shelter facility. Oftentimes we see the program graduates that go out, they're not required, but they're highly encouraged to come back and mentor new people that are coming into the program. It's part of the healing process. It's part of sobriety. It's part of recovery. It's to enter back into those. And it's really encouraging for those that are coming in, saying, yeah, you can do it too. I've done it where I was, you can do it too. Business practicums. We have enterprise, several enterprises within UGM, Spokane, Fort Wayne area, our thrift stores, our UGM warehouse, and our footers. And so we provide opportunities for our programmers to come in and work with us and for us. Several of our managers are program graduates. They're some of our best workers because they've gone through the process. They know conflict resolution. They bleed UGM. And so it's really neat to see them in their recovery. This also gives opportunity for them, 6 months to a year of a resume. They have job experience. They can go out with whatever's next. And then community, a huge piece of our community is our local churches. As a faith-based organization, we rely on our local churches to not only provide volunteers, but to provide that community that is in place. Accountability is really important within recovery, sobriety, and so oftentimes our church communities provide that. We are not affiliated with one denomination on purpose, and we partner with multiple denominations because oftentimes people come in with a certain flavor that they want, and so they may go to a Baptist church or a Pentecostal church or to a non-denominational church, and those community pieces are really important for us to maintain community and keep people out of isolation. Here's some look into our ministry. I hope you guys can see this clearly, but our women and children shelter, this is our rescue shelter. And when I use the term rescue, that's our short term. So that includes the LC Valley. We'll be anywhere between a 60, 90 to 120 day stay is kind of what we're looking for our residents. We're identifying whatever issues through case management. We're working on those things and we're getting them moving to whatever goals that they have while they're staying with us. And then our men's shelter, which is in Spokane as well. Our shelter in the LC Valley will be a men and women and children's. And so they'll enter into that bottom level. There'll be 2 different doorways. Our men will stay on our bottom level, 48 beds for our men. And then our women and children will enter through another doorway. They'll be helped upstairs to their bedrooms and dorm space, depending on if it's a single woman. 48 beds as well upstairs. Our women and children will have their own rooms. So we have 10 rooms set aside for women and children. It's really important for safety reasons and also just for comfort and dignity that we want to offer our women and children into those spaces.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, Michelle, please.
If you have a dad that is a single dad and needs housing and has a couple children, will there be space to work that way too if they?
Yeah, it's pretty rare that we do find that. Not saying it doesn't happen.
Right.
It is very rare that we end up in that situation. I think Family Promise would be the best fit for them in town, and that's true in Spokane too. And part of that is just the capacity of what we can do. And right. So we don't have a dad and kid kind of situation or a room for them. And then the next question is, if we do have a family, mom, dad, and kids, we would separate out. Mom would stay with children, and dad would be placed downstairs with the men. That's the best scenario that we can accommodate. On grounds like mealtime, family will be together. During our case management, we would want mom and dad as best as we can. We'll try to accommodate as best. So. Our recovery, so rescue, short-term recovery, long-term, 18 to 24 months, women's recovery, Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, and then our men's facility, you'll see is the same picture. The men's rescue and recovery are the same building. And so you have their kind of upstairs, downstairs, somewhat similar to what you'll see in Lewiston, just all men, and upstairs are recovery, our long-term, downstairs rescue, short-term. And then our restoration that I've talked about is our aftercare program, our women's recovery, AOH. That's just right around the block from in Ogden Hall, our women's recovery. Our aftercare housing is right next door to our shelter in Coeur d'Alene. And then our men's recovery is about a block away. They have individual rooms and a community living style kind of kitchen provided. And then for Lewiston, when this all began with a vision from a man named Rich Copeland. He was on our board several decades ago and ended up coming back to the Valley, helped found The Rock, which was out in North Lewiston, and which Michelle and many of our board members were a part of. And when that kind of came to an end, the board members of The Rock approached UGM. And it took some time for us to consider coming 2 hours south. It's a big jump for us as a ministry. And then also just to see the need to make sure that if we did come, would we meet the need, or was there a need there? And absolutely there is. I don't know if you guys had seen, it's just last month. Forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn, but it is ridiculous how long it takes the point in time count to come out. To see it come out last month finally, and see the numbers in Region 2, which, just over 200 people unsheltered, unhoused, and then within a certain county, 77 people. So I'm just going to round up about 300 people within this region without emergency services. Our board, it was almost a no-brainer for us to say, like, well, they need something. Is it us? And it took us some time to make sure that it was us that was maybe could help. And so to see 300 people counted, and that doesn't, of course, encompass everybody. You all know that, but to see that amount of people and the lack of resources within this area is saddening. Is, yes, maybe the best word, but also just deeply frustrating as well. If you want to be in this work, it's deeply frustrating to get people services. So this is a picture of our rendering that is down on Snake River Avenue. The north side is that left building, if you're looking at the screen, is an administrative building that will house several offices, 3 classrooms for, really excited to partner with LCSC to offer a GED program and partnership there, and then also offer classes for volunteers to come in for whether that be classroom style teaching or individual computer skills, just some of the basics that maybe some of our residents don't have. And then in that space, we'll also provide a chapel and a childcare area as well. We want to make sure that the moms are able to give their full attention to whatever that is. And so we will have childcare on site for case management classes as well. In the middle building, there's that housing structure, 96 beds. And then on the far end is our cafeteria space as well. Another aerial view. I really, the architect is not from here. They did not know that Lewiston is very brown. This is very green, and I would love it to look like that, but maybe someday. So this is a picture of kind of the process of what it will look like in Lewiston, housing single men, single women, and then mothers with children. The causes, homelessness, family breakdown, addiction, that we want them to come in to receive services, food, shelter, case management, job training, spiritual support, and then they'll have opportunities to go to Spokane and Coeur d'Alene for our long-term recovery programs. And then also within the LC Valley, this is, part of what I started with is letting you know that our philosophy partner with the Inland Northwest. So that is our encouragement towards other agencies. We're not coming in and doing work that's already being done. We want to partner with those that are providing medical services, those that are providing job solutions. We want to partner with all of those agencies and resources in town to make sure that the residents are equipped and continue moving towards whatever goal they have.
So with you partnering, you mentioned, working with the Family Promise.
Yeah.
I volunteered at the Elsa Valley Resource Center.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys partner with Michelle and like when they're doing the new like huts and stuff and like
Yeah.
as far as like teenagers and activities or like teenagers without parents coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, Michelle's been a great advocate for us, and we in return, we're just cheering her on right now. And so, yes. One of the things that is going to be really helpful, I don't see this as an issue whatsoever, but there is a little bit of an overlap with age. We do offer services for 18-year-olds that are coming in, and that is true of Michelle's new program, the tiny homes. What's unique about that, and what I'm really encouraged is, she's really hoping to continue bringing people through the Youth Resource Center and into her program. And anybody that may not be a good fit for her program or their program, or if, God forbid, something happens, they have another place to go, right? They will have our services. And so the more services, the better. And so we'll partner really well with Michelle and those that are aging out of her system.
You talked about men, women with children, and then it's like, but what about the teenagers that are like, because I know just from having volunteered there, there's teenagers that have obviously parents that are either on one take, they don't want the children to be at home, or they're unhoused, so they don't have a house, or, you know, kind of one of those, leave us alone, they come back at 3 at night or whatever, so it's kind of one of those, you know, kind of, there's the teenager group that are kind of not necessarily independent, but not necessarily with a parent necessarily walking them into kind of the program.
Yeah.
So do you take any teenagers that are without parents, or do you guys, I
They
mean,
have to be, liability reasons, and because we have men on site,
sure,
we will not take any kids under 18.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
so
so,
that's again where there's a little layover with 18, but not the younger, because that's what Michelle offers is like the overnight stay for the kids from 12 to 17
Yep.
until the day that they make their 18th birthday, and then they cannot stay.
and that's part of the partnership is they can transfer, and we already have like a MOU set up, ready to go, that they can transfer from Michelle. She can do a clean handoff with an ROI so that our case management can just pick that adult at that time up, and really help continue to care for them.
I know there's situations, I mean, she had a count, I've heard her give the discussion when she's talked to fundraising groups and stuff, and, you know, how many suicides that they've intervened, and substance abuse, and parents, somebody that jumped out of a window to escape his parents, and, you know, there's obviously, so I figured since you guys coordinate with other local agents, you know, it is kind of a little bit of layover, but not necessarily complete layover, and,
Yep.
and, you know, obviously, I know Karen Kessler.
Yeah.
She and I worked together, Stevens Ministry at Cross Point and stuff, and, you know, she helped with the rock, so obviously it makes sense that they would have asked for help after the rock closed down, when that wasn't here.
Yeah, we're really encouraged with, there's been a foundation laid for us to build on. It's not, it hasn't been just UGM coming in. There's been a lot of work for years and years and years for us.
I think, you know, in terms of, I was part of the rock board with Karen, and it is so, and kudos to Michelle, because starting services, high quality services from the ground up, grassroots efforts it's hard, you know, and so, the rock really tried really hard to get that thing established, but sometimes when helping hurts, and that's when we reached out to Union Gospel Mission, and they had 7 years of like best practice, and as a board member getting to see all the services that they offer, and there from the beginning of when somebody enters, the dignity and respect that's given and care, and then carrying through them, and Jeremy will probably talk about like the 5-year plan for them to stay in recovery is just like, we can't, the 8 people on the rock board, we just couldn't, the historical knowledge and the resources, and so we're just like so delighted that they did consider and are coming, and but it's hard. So much work needs to be done. Yeah.
You know, we just, October 10th is World Mental Health Day, and then also World Homeless Day. And we do an event up in Spokane, and a lot of it is to bring awareness. So even just what you just said about what's happening in our town, it amazes me and I say this like really gently, but like the ignorance of not knowing what is happening with our kids, what is happening within those family members, and then to see the lack of resources, the lack of help. And so I hope to continue to see, you know, as we have this facility, I know there's a sleep shelter being proposed and hope, you know, potentially built in Clarkston. I would love to see a detox center. We have to go at least, you know, we're going to Spokane or Boise, or, you know, we need services here within this region. And whether that be also Moscow Pullman, adding them into the mix, like we need more.
I'm glad to hear that you work with like the family promise too, because obviously there's certain things that they offer that you guys offer, and then, you know, like, okay, well, how many beds are available in the valley, and how many people on a whole night can find a shelter?
Yeah. Yeah, the YWCA will be another same kind of situation where if a woman doesn't feel comfortable with us coming out of a domestic violence situation, we want to make sure that we can get her into their services. But they also, as I continue to hear, is they're usually at capacity constantly. And so for women to come into our care in that situation, we can accommodate and help provide a safe place until maybe they can get into their service. And vice versa. It's everything's a partnership. We do better together.
In a couple places I saw affordable housing.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that because it's hard to find affordable housing in the valley.
Yeah.
So what does that look like for, especially for people maybe coming out of UGM? Like, are you walking alongside them to find landlords that'll rent to them at a lower cost? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's been just to like completely honest, that's been a really difficult one to answer. We partner with Catholic Charities in Spokane area, and so we already have that relationship as they come in, and we hope to utilize those services. But again, those will be filled.
I was gonna say if they're not already,
yeah,
right?
those will be filled within a month. So we're hoping to utilize their services. That's the big one, right? I would also say talking with the Housing Alliance, realtor coalitions, groups, like even zoning and planning about low income areas. We need to do better. And so part of, and it's not to just push it off, but part of my answer is we're going to do whatever we can in our control to help. And we need other agencies and resources to come up and help in that way. And so when it comes to affordable housing, we're going to utilize whatever services are here now and encourage and support and use our voices. Yeah, exactly. To get more help in the valley. And I think we will continue to see that in Neshoba County as well, that the poverty rate is astonishing. And so Catholic Charities is a start. It's just the beginning. So it'll be difficult. And then just to clarify, as somebody comes into our services, let's say they're at that 120-day mark, they've done their Section A, they've got their voucher, they're waiting, they've applied. There's no reason for our part to say, you've hit your mark, or sorry, you gotta go. What we're gonna do is continue to house them, we'll continue to work with them, and we'll get them, maybe if their plan needs to change, maybe we need to get, and we're going to work with hopefully Moscow and Pullman. We're going to get creative is what we're going to do. So we're here for the long haul. All right. This is a video.
My name is Miranda Newell, and I am the Next Steps manager. The reason why I chose the Life Recovery Program was because I was just.
This is about a 5-minute video, and this is just 2 of our programmers that came into our shelter and then received services and are now working for us. And so these are 2 stories that I want to share, and then I want to give time to questions. Is that okay?
So broken. I didn't know who I was struggling with addiction, with unhealthy codependent relationships, domestic violence. My rock bottom was when my kids found out I was using and they didn't want to be with me anymore. I was at the end of my rope, really.
My name's Tyler. I'm the Next Steps Case Management Coordinator. Before coming to UGM, I was out on the streets. I was doing everything I could just to stay high. It was rainy and I was super cold, and I spent one night at UGM and I absolutely hated it. I left the very next day. I just was not ready for change. Fast forward 2 years, my drug use got even worse, and I landed myself in the hospital, in the ICU actually.
I chose Women's Recovery Coeur d'Alene because it was an 18 to 24 month long program. I had already been to 5 30-day inpatient treatments. I went through the Shoshone County Drug Court program. I was just looking for something more, and I knew that my story was not over yet.
My grandparents came to see me, and they reminded me that the UGM has help out there. They dropped me off, and I was greeted by someone at the front desk. I kind of explained my situation to them, and they said, that's what we're here for, we're here to help. That was super comforting, knowing that they were there and they actually cared and wanted to help me. The next morning I woke up and I was approached by a staff member, and they already knew my name and what I'd been going through. It just felt like this was where I was supposed to be.
Basically, when a woman checks into the shelter, she's struggling with something, addiction, domestic violence, homelessness, whatever that looks like.
They feel like a failure, they feel super overwhelmed, and they question what they did wrong to get here. It takes them a few days to start to get in the loop of how things are ran here, but over time, you start to see them smile more, and you start to see the life come back into them a little bit.
The RAs will do their intake, ask them questions, get them set up for their rooms, give them their things, and from there we can evaluate and case manage them to see what it is they're actually looking for. Are they looking for lifelong recovery? Are they looking for a job? Are they looking for just housing? And the case manager helps them with things like getting an ID, social security card, making sure that they have all their appointments, taking care of their medical appointments, their court dates, things like that.
So I work closely with the case management supervisor, and once he identifies somebody that is willing to do the work and wants recovery, they're then passed off to me. I talk to them about my lived experience and the things that I've been through, some of the things that they can expect, and some of the hard things that they're gonna have to walk through while in program. Recovery is something that you absolutely have to want for yourself. Nobody can do it for you. The Life Recovery Program is 18 months long, and it's a big commitment, but it's worth it in the end, 100% worth it.
I love that I've been through the program, so when they talk about their fears with me or their concerns, or even when they have high anxiety and they're feeling like they want to run, I can at least relate to them a little bit and talk to them about my own experiences as well. 6 months after I commenced my program, my dad passed away and I was living in their aftercare housing. And I just realized through that situation and other things that happened in my life that UGM really became my family. And that's, a big reason why I wanted to come back and work for UGM.
I chose to work at UGM because I wanted to be part of the good fight. I wanted to help people and give them that same opportunity that I was given, a second chance.
I think one of the things I'm most grateful for would be that I get to use my past experiences, the hardships, the struggles, I get to use that for something good.
Gratitude is necessary for recovery. If you're not thankful for something as small as a place to sleep and food on your plate, you're not going to accept the help and the things that are being offered for you. If you don't have gratitude, you're not going to put in the hard work, and you're not going to truly seek recovery.
In the Bible it talks about God creating beauty from the ashes, and I get to take the ashes of my past and the things that were done to me and the things that I did to other people, and I get to take all of that and use it for something good, for the good of someone else, to help them find hope in their lives and to help guide them or walk beside them, really, in these decisions that they're making to be in the Life Recovery Program.
Those are just two stories. Last year we had close to 30 graduates. The year before that, 40. And our hope is to continue seeing that grow. And with Lewiston coming, we hope to provide another way of recovery for LC Valley. I'd love to take a little bit, however long we have for questions, response. If there's anything online, love to respond to that too.
Hey guys, do we have a rough date or estimate or goal for when UGM is open here in Lewiston?
Yeah, I'm continuing. Thanks, Todd. I'm continuing to learn the construction business and helping oversee the build. Initially we'd really hoped fall, and then it kind of got pushed towards November, beginning of winter. And then this is the last push, I promise. I'm really hopeful. That's what is being promised, is January. So we are expecting to open mid to late January and services be available.
Out of curiosity, I don't know what the development process is, how much will be ready. Will any portion be open as a warming shelter while the rest is getting finished?
Yeah, I just talked with Sarah Reeves over in Clarkston about the opportunity for that, and approached our builder. And unfortunately, because of liability, because it's still at a construction site,
Sure.
yeah, we can't do it on our site because of that. And so, unfortunately, no.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Glad you guys are here though.
Yeah. Thanks, Todd. I'm looking forward to all the things.
Right? Right?
Well, if there's no other questions, I just want to say thank you for the invitation, for your time. Michelle, if there's any closing comments, please.
Yeah, excited.
It looks like there's somebody that. Mary Lou?
Yeah, I just had a very quick question. I often work with parents of children in the child protection system
Yeah.
and trying to make sure they're connected with resources. How are referrals made to you? Does the individual, him or herself, have to come to your facility, or can we bring somebody, or how do you handle that?
Yes, when referrals happen, it's preferred that we get to talk to the person directly. And we have an intake process that we could do over the phone. Some of that is just making sure if they have been with us before, how did it go, and all of those things. And then it's really helpful if they have already some case management with another organization.
Right.
That we're working in tandem. And so we want to provide, if it's shelter, meals, and let's say you're doing the case management, we'll actually provide you office space so that you can come in-house and meet with them. And then we just come alongside whatever supportive services they have. So
Great.
Some of the quick questions, usually our first question is about drug use to make sure that they are sober. And then the next question we would ask is if they can self-care. That's another, not having the services for somebody if they are not able to care for themselves.
Right.
And so other than that, there's other things that we'll ask, but those are the two big things that we ask right away.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Excited you're going to be in town.
Yeah, thank you.
You talked a little bit about classes being held there. Do you think that there'll be, especially for the families, will there be some sort of parenting class?
Yep. Okay. Yeah. We offer, and it's kind of unique to what teachers we get, right? Sometimes we'll have volunteers that will come in for parenting classes. We had a woman in Spokane that came in for abuse, domestic violence classes to help women. And so we would love to offer parenting classes, and we use specifically our children's staff use TBRI, trust-based relational intervention. That's the philosophy that we're all trained in. And so that's the type of classes that we would be providing. Yep.
There's some excellent teachers over at the YWCA on the domestic violence. Very, very thorough in breaking it down over a series of weeks.
Yeah.
Focusing on one type of domestic violence each week. And the light bulbs come on inside of women that did not recognize that they were actually going through domestic violence because it hadn't been hit.
Right.
Right. And yet they were in a safe situation. So I think that would be a really fantastic thing, because some of the women that are participating in that, they don't have addiction issues.
Right.
We're talking about, these are pastors' wives, these are wives of police officers, these are homeschooling moms. They're not seeing themselves as abuse victims until they're sitting around a table, maybe with a friend, and hearing, because they're there for support. They're like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm living too. And do you have any picture of services for people that are maybe not yet homeless, but they have a history of vulnerability and they have been homeless? So the risk is huge. Could they access your services to prevent, if they already have a roof over their head, but maybe some of the services you offer could keep them from that blow up that could happen in 5 minutes that causes them to be homeless again.
Yeah, I'm actually a favorite. We're not supposed to have favorites, of course, everybody, right? But a favorite of mine. She came into the shelter with her 4 kids, and she was fleeing domestic violence situation. And she was actually only with us for about 3 weeks. And part of it was because of her situation. She had a job, kids were in school, like everything was going really well for her in other areas. And she was able to get a duplex like that. And so it only took her 3 weeks in her situation to come in, have a safe place to land, partnered with the local school districts to get wherever the kids needed to be, they were able to get to. And she, it was a delight to help her, but for her to come in those situations, no substance abuse issues whatsoever. So I would actually say probably close to 50% of the women we serve are coming in with domestic violence situations. Yeah. And I feel like I need to say this, being a faith-based organization, we are not neglectful of the spiritual abuse side of things. And so when somebody comes in, we want to help identify those things and learn their story. And so in no ways are we expecting to proselytize everybody that comes in and say, you have to, right? What we're going to do is an invitation. I would say in Jesus' way, he's very inviting, but he's not pushy. And so we want to invite and say, would you be a part of these things? And if not, we want to go into a one-on-one situation and go, can you tell me what's going on? And then that builds a lot of trust and then also other opportunities. So, yeah. Again, thank you guys. If you want to, I don't know, I can email and get you some more information. For those that are here in person, I do have some pamphlets and things that I can give you. And would love to, if you're looking to partner with UGM in any ways, please reach out. We'd love to meet with you. And if you know that, and I have to say, if you know people that are looking for a job within this ministry, please send them our way. We just are opening up job applications and opportunities. And so we'll be hiring soon and begin our training for our opening in January. So, thanks so much.
You.